G'day everyone, it's Aaron Christy David here, and we're at a change of location because we're at Lifesize Plans over in Auburn. And the reason why we're here is because I want clients to experience being able to walk through their dream home before it's built. And so we're joined by Jürgen, Mertin. G'day, how you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Thanks for having us here. Looking around, I want you to take us through how this concept came about. And I guess it's largely for people like myself that when they're looking to build, they can't actually envision how these floor plans come to life. And I'm guessing that's exactly what happens here and how the magic kind of unfolds for people.
Yeah, I mean, historically you'd be getting your drawings from an architect on huge sheets of paper, and so you'd be rolling them out on the dining room table, and you've still got some concept of size as you're walking through it. Now we're seeing that most clients get emails or whatever, and they open attachments in PDF on their phone, and so this big house that they're going to end up living in ends up being on this tiny little screen. But more than that, it's not just about seeing the plan, it's about rectifying issues. So the main concept was that you were able to walk through the plan and see where something might not work. So you can actually walk through your kitchen and find that wall's in the wrong place or something like that. And so when this was envisioned, it was mostly about that kind of error correction. So getting that dream build perfect every time, as opposed to getting something which looked good on paper but didn't end up in brick in the same way.
And I guess error correction means that we're avoiding either costly mistakes or time delays as well, which generally happens almost at that build level, which may be hard to kind of roll back because you're past that point of no return.
Yeah.
Right.
So delays are, for builders especially, delays are even worse in some cases than to consumers. I mean, consumers are impacted because they can't move into their place, or things get delayed because something else has to happen. But it can be really costly. Like our average savings for changes that we make when we estimate what it would do in real life, anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000, for a simple change because the staircase is in the wrong place or something like that. But you can imagine for our commercial customers, the big builders who want to basically offer this as part of their package to clients, they are looking at keeping their timelines as tight as possible. So if there's a delay in something or a variation, that means that the next job gets delayed by 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And so for them, it's just as costly and just as time impacting.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks very much.
So Jürgen, thank you. So you mentioned, primarily you market to residential homes and some commercial as well. Is there any other cases or any other clients that you service with Lifesize Plans?
The list is getting bigger and the use cases even more varied. So at the beginning, it was very much home builders and homeowners looking to put their plans on the floor. Commercial, we're finding office space renovations and new builds. So how is the best way that they lay that out? We find car parking layouts are another one where people actually map out where cars are parked. We have a door just at the back where clients can come in and drive into their car park with their actual car and then walk through their house from the garage. But we also find that helps if they're designing car parks. Restaurants and commercial hospitality, figuring out the most efficient flows for food coming in to being prepared, served out, cleaned up, so all those sort of tracks. The list is quite extensive. And again, once we have this concept where we can do this at scale on the floor, we then find that other people are coming up with uses that are very out of the box. So we had somebody contact us, didn't really go through with it, it would have been awesome to see, but they were actually thinking about shining their circuit board designs on the floor so that they could actually walk with their engineers on the floor and try and figure out the shortest paths for things and things like that. So completely out of the box for what we're doing, and yet still a very awesome idea. And the most notable one where I felt that there was going to be a real life-changing purpose was when a client from Canberra came up with a wheelchair for an NDIS build for a home with people with special needs, and he was wheeling the wheelchair around to make sure the doors were wide enough and the angles were correct, and you could get into the kitchen, you could use the bathroom. So we could feel that would have a real impact on someone. So.
Yeah, that's really good. It's good that you can, people can think outside of the box to use this, and it's not specific to homeowners or people building commercial properties. So at what point do people come to you in the building process? Is it at the beginning when they engage an architect? Is it
we're finding, and we're talking about this as a team, we think that we're getting our clients a bit too late. So they normally already have documents or something just pre-DA or nearly at the point where DA has been granted. And that's where they want to go through and start making changes and things like that. What we're trying to do now is trying to get people really early in the piece. So if you have a sample plan, or if you want to start talking to your architect, get us in right at the beginning so you can start drafting things and make it as efficient as possible. Because very often they've had so much time and money spent already getting the plan that they come to us with, and it's very late in the process. But normally it's quite at the end, but we want to get them more in the beginning. Some of the commercial builders are using us where they're taking off the plan, like off the plan or stock designs, and basically modifying it to client requirements. So they're nice and early in the piece, but we feel that we should be doing it a lot earlier. So we're trying to target that marketing now to capture that. So it's like when you've bought your land, come and see Lifesize plans. When you've got your DA ready plans, come and see us. So whichever stage you're at, it's valuable that to use a tool like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it's that cost saving from the beginning. Like, it's a costly process as it is, and you want to do everything that you can to save your costs from the beginning. So yeah, definitely a good idea to come and see you guys up front.
Yeah, so doing some research, I might give you this marketing tagline, but I thought it really rolls up into 3 Fs. So you got floor plans, you got functionality, and then you've got the flow, and then furniture. So almost 4 Fs there.
You can actually make it 5, and it's fault detection.
But there we go.
So
okay.
You could make it 5, but very much it is that sort of scope. So when you have a new build, very much we have 2 sets of people who come through and actually shine floors on the plan. One is that they have a plan for a new build that they're doing, and they want to walk through it to make sure that that's fine. But we also get a lot of renovation work, actually more than we expected. And with renovations, we find it's a very interesting thing because our warehouse here is 650 square meters. We can shine a house up to 550, no problem. But then you get some clients who come in with their renovations of older buildings, 120, 140, 150 square meters, and they shine it on the floor, and they think we got it wrong because it's a tiny box.
Yeah.
But that flow is really important. So we use furniture and props to really give you that sense of living space. How does it flow from one to the other? Is it really 14 steps from your couch to the back door to get to the pool, things like that? And it sort of makes it real before it actually gets into bricks and mortar. And so that's very much part of that experience. And again, just giving that concept of what you're actually building. So,
I mean, because being here, it's such an amazing site that you guys have. But when you look around and you can kind of see how your flow in your house and how you actually live, like livability is probably the biggest part, where I think that's a frustration when you go to build and people are going in their house going, that door shouldn't be there, for example, or that walkway, or I mean, we're just in the kitchen where I think is the epicenter of a home. Yes. And that's generally where we see that, like, those design flaws start to really shine. When it's how I use my kitchen might be very different to say how Trin uses a kitchen. We're at kids stage, for example. So, future-proofing our home for when they become bigger kids, and we need more room for them, landing spaces, for example, as well, right?
We obviously we can't. We're not there to provide too much advice or anything. It's basically shine the floors, and that. A lot of times they bring their architects with them and they actually do talk these things through. They might have 2 or 3 versions of a plan and they want to see which one flows the best. But we do find that there's a lot of couple disagreements with bathrooms, kitchens, where the layout of things are, master bedrooms, things like that. But I think it's better do it here, go home, sleep it off, and then figure out the solution rather than then have to figure out, it's going to cost us 20K now to fix it or something like that. So we do find that those rooms are very much the focus on in a lot of cases. But yeah, we very often see people coming through and they say, wow, the gap from there to there is enormous, or to get from that bedroom to that ensuite is huge and whatever. So we definitely capture little things like that, which can sometimes, be the fault of one or the other, where the architect has asked the question and someone's provided some advice and said, no, just do that, it'll be fine. And then it turns out not to be. So better to catch it on the floor for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Right. And then on this side, we've got the actual renders of the house. So this is another important element when we're talking about the design from, I guess, street view or rear view, looking back at your house. So that's obviously the plans on the outside render. So take us through how scope of changes for that, and how does someone get that organized as well?
Yeah, it's a fairly new thing. So the elevations was more about concept of what you're walking through. So if you're standing at the back porch and you're looking at your house, we would show you the renders or the elevations for the rear of the house, and you would get an idea of what it would look like, or where the garage is in relation to the front door or whatever. But we're finding more and more that people would like that to scale. And so we're actually making sure that those now work in scale with the documents to give them a true sense of how high, how tall the building is, and what is that front door experience by walking through both parts. We had a commercial client as well doing ergonomic testing. So they had like a desk and they had a whole bunch of monitors, and they wanted to figure out what was the most ergonomic way of seeing those without creating too much head movement or whatever the case was. So we used 1-to-1 scale projections onto the elevations wall. So that's becoming increasingly a part of what we do, and the solution package as a whole. Even though initially it was just to give you a picture, because this is all schematic. This is all detailed diagram, walls, floors, whatever. There's no romance in here necessarily. Like the real romance is on the Rembrandt on the wall. So it's like, that's what your house looks like, and this is what you're walking through. So it's definitely evolving. So as is a lot of our technology. So we constantly come up with different things that clients have asked for, or that make more sense, where we can give them a bit more than what they initially thought we were just able to offer. So.
And even from an investment perspective, we've got a couple of clients that do like NDIS developments, and a big part of that would be wheelchair access and functionality inside the house. I mean, that would become super important, where you actually can wheelchairs flow, and how accessible is it for someone with a disability perhaps as well?
100%, 100%. Even things like in commercial buildings or places like that, fire and ingress and egress, etc. What's the quickest way to get from a really populated area of the building out and things like that? You know, there's a lot of things that can be tested and trialed here before this actually, again, put into real life in bricks and mortar. So our motto basically is, you know, and we normally say it about a home, but it could be anything. Don't let your dream home become a nightmare. So don't take this thing that you've been dreaming of for the last 10 years and you've worked so hard to get, and then you find that there's just these flaws which are just in your face every day. That shouldn't be the case. And this is the sort of thing that can really take it out. And it could be as minor as changing the bench top around in your kitchen to we're going to redesign the entire floor plan. I won't say that I will say that. We've had clients come through and somebody's changed something every time. We have no problem if they shine something and walk through and don't change a thing, but it's yet to happen.
Yeah.
So everything that's been down here has had some sort of change done.
Yeah, consider it like your insurance policy against a bad build. So I think that's a message that I'm kind of seeing come through fairly consistently, right? Which is if you can just tweak or optimize just a little bit, the time spent to get out here, whatever the cost is, for example, it's going to be well worth that time investment as well. Yeah. Yeah, perfect.
And it's this concept of, you know, you're better off to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Absolutely. And I really like that idea that you try before you buy, so to speak, because it's so true. And even like what Aaron was saying about the kitchen bench, like some people might like it on the window, some people might like it on an island, and that change is really good. Yeah. So if we have a client come to us and they say, you know, we'd like to look at something like this, how do we pass that information on to the client so that they can get in touch with you, or how do they go about getting in touch with you to?
Yeah, so in Australia we've got locations in Sydney, Perth and Brisbane. So depending on where you are, we'll obviously direct you to a showroom that's going to be the best for you there. The 1300 on our website is going to be the most efficient way of getting through, because you'll always get to a team member and we'll have one of our customer service staff talk to you about what your build is, your timings, what it is that you're looking for. They'll help you guide through the process of how much time you might need on the floor, if it's something specific or if you're just more generally trying to look at a plan. So they will be able to give you the most accurate information and just help you out to make the experience the best one possible.
I want to say thank you very much, Jürgen, for your time, being so hospitable and opening up this amazing venue. I just want to reiterate, if you're thinking about building, if you're thinking about renovating, if you've got some plans to upgrade your home, or you're buying that block of land to build your dream home on it, this is a must. Spend the time, spend the energy to take those floor plans, bring it to life here in this type of wonderful area, and you can see it before it actually starts to get built. And like you're saying, maybe avoid a costly error or just tweak it in terms of the way that you live as well. So, mate, credit to you guys, well done, and can't wait to see what the future has in store for you guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah. A pleasure for having you.
Thanks very much, appreciate it. Cheers. Thanks. If you found that helpful, please do drop us a couple of questions below, and we'll also include the details for Lifesize plans if you do want to get in touch with them as well. Thanks very much.